welcome back. We have Chelsea on the channel again, and I know she's a favorite of yours.
Hi, all. Good to be back.
Chelsea, how do you describe yourself? A Jill?
I'm a Jill of all trades.
Mhm. She is, and I found out more things that she can do. So she's going to be coming back. So today she's going to talk about past life regression. So first, I'm going to ask you to define what that is.
So there's two different that I do, and I'll be careful how I say this because I speak for how I do past life regressions. This is not how other spiritualists or healers do theirs.
Mhm.
So I do two different kinds. I do one that's more hypnosis based. Typically, that's done in person with folks,
Uh-huh.
and that's where I'll take you down and we'll get into a state to where I'll ask you to go and let's examine kind of your lives. And so when I go into this past life, what I'll envision it is I'll take you down with me and we'll see like a hallway with all these doors, and every door represents a previous life that you've lived. And
Oh,
I just
cool.
tell folks, hey, go to which door you're drawn to, because typically, especially when we're doing some self guided healing, we know what door is going to open to what
Mhm.
kind of healing we need.
Mhm.
And so I walk through you with that, and then we identify, any areas in your current life that maybe have a trickle down effect from a past life that's maybe impacting how you live that we need to heal. So that's kind of a quick little elevator pitch of a hypnosis based past life
Mhm.
regression. The ones that I do typically more often are a past life regression where I work with your spirit guides and I have them take me through your past lives. And so we typically will, in that forum, address habits, phobias, patterns, fears, but also too, if there's people we're curious that we've lived a past life with, if there's a reason why we're having to go through or have certain experiences, because sometimes it's just a matter of clearing up some karmic debt that we owe to a past life, right? So, and that one is more spirit guide led. So I have your spirit guides kind of take me through your different past lives so that we can identify either those points of healing, points of growth, or things of that nature.
Would you share where you have helped someone clean up some karmic debt?
Ooh, good question. So I did
I
have
like when you say that.
what with the karmic debt? Yeah.
Good question.
So I did have a client several years ago, and she had lived I'm going to say a selfish life in a past life. And so we're very focused on herself, was not giving, was always out for personal gain, and not necessarily like a rude or demeaning person, but at the end of the day was always self-serving. And then she came into this life and was like, it's weird. I find myself like I could never get ahead and I don't know what's going on. And I'm wondering where I'm at. And I'm like, let's identify it. So we went through a past life that she had. We kind of identified like, look, you were more of a taker in this life. You need to find opportunities to give and be of service. And so it was interesting. And she was like, okay, I've always wanted to, work with the homeless, and, I feel drawn to that community. So I'm going to start reaching out and, volunteering at soup kitchens, things that nature. And then I ended
Right.
up seeing her about a year later, and she's like, my life has completely flipped 360 for the positive, because she was out in the community doing the things that she should have been doing to make up for that karmic debt of all that taking she had done in the past. And she got like a promotion at her job. She met like the love of her life. Like, it was just
Wow.
weird how her whole life
Everything.
completely flipped, and it's because she was clearing up some of that karmic debt. So that's just off the top of my head one experience. But yeah, clearing up and paying back some of that karmic debt can be very, very positive for your current life you're living in.
Okay, and explain karmic death. Oh, not death. Debt.
I
Karmic
was going to say, I
debt.
don't deal with karmic death, but the debt part I can help you with. No, so karmic debt is really basically making up for what you've done in the past, right? You're cashing the checks that you wrote in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so what you're doing is more or less identifying things that you might have done that were wrong or unsavory, or things that were damaging to other people, right? That kind of creates negative karma that you're carrying around. And we have the opportunity in every life that we have, not just this one, but even going forward, we have the opportunity to do little things to pay that back. And so for me, it's helping my clients understand where their karmic debt lies, and then what do they do with it? How do they go forward and heal that?
Oh, very cool. Very
Heal
cool.
back, so
Can
to
you
speak.
kind of tell us typically how the two different sessions go?
Yeah. So a typical one, so a hypnosis based one, both of them last about an hour.
Hmm.
As far as I tend to find that a hypnosis based one is more with a focus of healing deep trauma. So if people have like a deep, terrifying fear, or maybe they, have these, maybe they've wound up in a lot of really negative situations in this current life and they're trying to heal from that, usually there's a tie back to their past of
Hmm.
why they keep having these things pop up in their life, like recurrent, people who have recurrent addiction issues, things like that. Yes, we might have trauma from this life, but I'll be gosh darn if there isn't more from their past life that they need to investigate as well. So
Hmm.
typically hypnosis based. So if I have someone come to me and they're like, I'm just in this rotten place in my life and I just need some intense healing, I'll usually kind of have some Q&A with them to see what I feel is going to be the most beneficial, because at the end of the day, this is
Yeah.
the work that I do, regardless if it's a psychic reading, a mediumship, a past life regression, what have you. To me, it's all about healing, helping, and guiding. Period. That's what I'm here for, right? And so when it comes to a hypnosis based past life regression, that's really for working through deep trauma. When it comes to a
Hmm.
spirit guide led session, that can also be used to heal trauma, but I tend to find it's more for working through small kind of current life issues. Like if you have a weird phobia of snakes, or you're scared of the water or something, but you didn't have an event in this life where you're like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
I almost drowned as a kid, so obviously now I'm scared of water. There's
Hmm.
people who will come forward and say, yeah, I have this weird fear. I don't know what started it. Usually it's tied to a past life. So that's where I'll have folks come to me with like a list of, what are you scared of? What are your concerns? Do you have any patterns in your life that you just notice? Like, gosh, I always have these issues with, narcissistic men or women that take advantage of me, or things like that.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Been there, done that. No, but truly, so I'll have people identify some of this stuff, and then once I have that list, we literally just kind of step by step go through it. So a past life where I have your spirit guides take us through is not done chronologically. Where let's start at the dawn of your soul and then come to present. You kind of hop all over. Right. So to me, that's kind of how I do a spirit guide led session. Is that it's led by what you are curious about or what you're wanting to have growth or healing for,
Hmm.
and then we just let spirit guides do the rest.
So, what about, and this sounds really morbid, but what about someone who commits murder? Is
So
that something that has been arranged for a karmic debt, or did it just go haywire, or both?
So it's interesting when I meet people, because this is getting into a soul contract conversation a little bit as well.
Sorry.
And no, this is a great question because it does tie into your past lives, absolutely.
Okay.
So to me, when people come to me and they're like, well, why do murders happen and why do rapes happen? Do I think that people, and again, this is just my opinion. I am not speaking for all healers or spiritualists, but
Mhm.
I don't believe that we're signing a contract going, I can't wait to murder someone someday. Find my name. Looking forward to it. No, I truly don't believe that that's how people go into it. What I think is that we say we're going to participate in a very negative situation, and
Oh,
then you
wow.
have a choice to make up for it, or what have you. Likewise, if we're going to experience maybe a form of harm that happens to us, or a tragedy, right? That could be, losing a child or something like
Mhm.
that. Again, you're not signing a paper going, can't wait to lose my kid. Sounds great. That's
Oh,
not what it's about. It's more of you're going to go through extreme adversity and loss. And now you need to conquer and work through that because maybe you didn't do a good job in your past life of working through trauma and loss. And so they're just going to keep presenting these opportunities for growth,
got it.
and if you don't hit it, you kind of keep repeating it. So to me, I don't feel that our soul contracts are so specific because there's free will, right? And that's also part
Yes.
of that journey. But it's
Mhm.
almost like hitting like these, it's kind of like bullet points, right? Like in your life, you're going to have this great thing happen, but then you're going to have a tragedy here, and then you're going to
Mhm.
experience some loss
Yes.
here, and then other good thing. So to me, I look at it as your soul contract more or less has bullet points of experiences that are broad, but that you'll experience. Again, that's my opinion.
I like that explanation. To me, it sounds really spot on too. Because I always wonder about that. Is it a contract? I mean, what's going on? Because,
Mhm.
gosh,
Well, and that free will, right? If we're signing that contract saying we're going to have a tragedy, that tragedy could happen when we're 5. It could happen when we're 55.
Hmm.
There's no point in time. It's just a matter of you're going to have this experience, and then you have the opportunity to use that as an opportunity for growth and for learning.
So that if that does happen, if someone is committing murder, that's going to affect everyone in their circle. Duh, 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 duh. So
Hmm.
did all of those people sign up for that too? That for their growth and for their learning?
Yeah, because very well it might be that, maybe their opportunity is having love for someone that is not a healthy person, being able to separate yourself and understand, I need to have compassion because obviously that person murdered someone out of either self need, maybe mental health issues. There's all sorts of reasons why people murder or steal or whatever. But being able to have that understanding that you're not condoning the behavior, you're not approving or agreeing with the behavior, but understanding that at the end of the day, you needed to ascertain or pull something from that lesson. To me,
Mhm.
that's kind of the overarching bigger picture. And again, that's where free will fills in the blanks, right? We're
Okay.
presented with the challenge, the opportunity, the lesson, what have you, and then what we choose to do with that is really that's the meat and potatoes of the lesson.
I am so glad you talked about that because that's something I've just never understood. So I
Mhm.
appreciate that so much.
Again, I'm not a guru. I can't prove it or not prove it. This is just what, through meditation and kind of what I've been shown in the Akashic records, to me that's what feels right. So I don't prescribe to be correct or the know-it-all at all.
I think you're pretty darn good, and I don't say that lightly. So
No, I'm kidding.
seriously. Okay, let's see. Oh, sorry. You answer so much. That's just it. Hmm.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry, not
I'm glad you
sorry.
do. So if they do the past life regression, will that also help them know that their what their purpose is in this lifetime?
Yes, I can say that it does parlay into it because we can
Mm-hmm.
be able to identify, here's some karmic debt that we need to pay off. So now you have the opportunity to at least get started on paying it off. To me, it's never too late. Again, you can be on your deathbed and go, I'm going to say a kind word, or tell someone to do a kind thing, or make a charitable donation. Those are all different ways that you can pay off karmic debt, right? So there we'll always have until our last breath that opportunity to pay it back. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
yes, it helps with soul purpose. I know we're going to at some point in time talk about numerology. I tend to find that our numbers that those are actually kind of more of what I would call a soul purpose reading because that really kind of gives kind of a blueprint of certain experiences and things we're going to have. But I definitely think there are for sure aspects of past life regressions that can at least give us some goals and opportunities for growth that we can
Mm-hmm.
achieve in this lifetime. Absolutely.
Very cool. Now I have a couple friends that have a lot of problems with their body. A lot of illness, a lot of disease. How will a past life regression help with understanding? And can it resolve those health issues, or how does that all work?
So, excellent question. I just had a client last week that had this pop up in her past life reading, and so I'll kind of give some background. Otherwise, it won't really make sense. So, as we were talking about one of her past lives, we'd found out that in this specific past life, she had been someone who, like, not only made her own clothing for her tribe that she was in, but she would also help other people and kind of teach other people in the tribe this technique. So, and in the visions that I saw, I just saw her working with people, showing them how to do things. And so, I assume that maybe she either was really good at this or, she maybe had a certain, flavor that she was just slightly
Mm-hmm.
better at sewing than other people. And
Mm-hmm.
so I told her, I said, wouldn't surprise me if in this life that you either wanted to sew your own clothes or you liked to, or you're into fashion. And she
Mm-hmm.
says, it's really weird you say that. When I was 13, I told my mom that I wanted to start making my own clothes. And I sewed everything, pants, dresses, shirts, all the things I
Wow.
needed with the exception of undergarments. She would make all of it from all through middle school and all through high school. And she's like,
Wow.
it's so weird because I totally forgot I did that until you brought this up. And I
Wow.
said, I also wouldn't be surprised if you have issues with your hands, such as like, a hard time with working, or you have a lot of neuropathy, or, something like that. And she goes, that's really weird. She says also that you say that, because she said about 6 months ago, I was diagnosed with a type of rheumatoid arthritis, but it's only in my hands. And it's a type that's called like a negative RA, because they couldn't find it in her blood. She had no signs of inflammation, no signs of it whatsoever. But it was there, and she had the swelling, she had all of it. And so I asked her spirit
Wow.
guides, well, what can she do to help with this? And so they just showed me like different stretches, different like techniques that she could do that would help with that. And so to your question, yes, there's absolutely times where some of our past lives can have a trickle down, right? I know that there's been people I've worked with where I'll say, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, you had an injury in your hip area. So I wouldn't be surprised if you have bad hips or something like that. And yeah, it pops up all the time. And usually in a past life reading, if their intention is not to talk about a health issue, like with the client I just saw last week, for one, she didn't have any health related questions that she asked. However, it just
Popped up.
popped up organically in the reading. But I do have
Mhm.
some people where let's say, yes, I have this particular issue. Can we see if it has to do with a past life? And so, yeah, I've had tons of times where people will come forward with ailments or stuff from this life where it does involve a past life that's just kind of rolled forward. So, yeah, fascinating stuff. But I will ask your spirit guides at that point for guidance for how to help for sure.
Okay, yeah, because they know. Oh, that's really cool. Can past life regression help with creativity and inspiration?
Oh,
People that are
absolutely.
stuck in their life.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is right, what gives us that zest and passion for life now may be different from what we had in a past life. So we can go into a past life and say, what did you do for fun back then? Did you have a creative outlet? Was there
Mhm.
things that you enjoyed back then? And can we include that in your current life? And so I had a woman one time where when I went to one of her past lives, she'd lived in an affluent household. So I would say, someone who was either maybe their parents were a duke or a duchess or a lord related to her. They weren't royalty, but they were up there, affluent, right?
Mhm.
And they kept showing me like her working and like riding horses. And I saw this beautiful stable with all these beautiful, stunning
Oh wow.
horses. And she's like, that's so interesting, because she's like, I've never been drawn to horses. And she was like, but now I feel like maybe I should go check this out. And
Oh wow.
and I ended up seeing her a couple, because we already had it on the books for me to see her for a different type of reading a couple months later. And she was, I just have to tell you, I have a friend that has a stable, and I started going out there and volunteering. And she's like, and then there was someone out there who was an occupational therapist that did equine therapy. And she's like, and now I'm training with them. And I feel like this whole new motivation for life to help others. And I would have never thought about it. I would have never gone, I'm going to go work with horses and heal people. And it was something that was, it
Mhm.
just came up in her reading that look. And so to me, I think that, especially when we've had several past lives, and this can go both ways, things that we were passionate about, things that we liked to do, maybe that fades over time, or we just completely forget that we had a passion for it until it's reignited in this life. Right. But I also think that that can happen with trauma too. If we
Yes.
are murdered in a past life, 8 lives back, it's probably not going to be as impactful in your current life, because it does kind of get a little watered down with each life that we have.
Mhm.
But then once we go through it and address it in a past life reading, then maybe you can go, oh, well, shoot, yeah, I have noticed, that I am still carrying around some subtle fears of this or that, and we can work on that as well. So I think that there's definitely advantages to a past life reading that can bring not just a zest for life, but healing and direction.
Um, this topic can do. You can do so much with this regression, way
Mhm.
more than I ever thought about.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
really.
and it can go both ways. It can be for fun and to give you direction and inspiration, and yeah, it can do major healing and provide opportunities for growth. It's definitely not a one size fits all. My past life regression readings are some of my most inspiring. So
Really?
because mediumship is really about healing, connection, all of that. Psychic is more of, helping people with guidance. And so I do
Right.
find that past life readings are very enlightening. Like, oh, that's why I feel this way, or that's why when I had my past life reading to determine how I got my gifts, it was. I don't know if I'd say inspirational, but it was certainly enlightening to go, okay, that's where this came from.
Would you share that story, please?
Sure. So this was a long time ago. I'm going to say at least 10 years ago. I went and had a past life regression because I was curious. Like, I do believe that everyone's born with gifts, right? And it's a spectrum. Some people
Yes.
are naturally better than others, right? And other people need to work a little harder at theirs, but we're all given a gift or gifts. And
Mhm.
I wanted to know where mine originated from. And so I had I did one under hypnosis, and I walked into this past life, and it felt European to me.
Mm.
The clothing looked very homemade. I could tell it was definitely like way earlier than like 1500s. And I'm not a historian by any stretch of the imagination, but I know it was hundreds of years ago. And so me and a group of kids, I felt like they looked all about 10 or so or 11. And there was a rumor in my colony that there was a witch out in the woods. And so you know how kids are, and they have to be little honest thinkers. And so me and like a group of 4 or 5 kids, in this vision that I had when this hypnotherapist was taking me through it, we were just walking through the woods, walking, and then I felt like we'd walked forever in this journey. And then I remember seeing like a little bit of smoke coming up from this clearing in the trees. And so we were like, oh, I wonder if that's it. So we kept walking. And then all of a sudden we see this little tiny house, and it has a little bit of smoke coming up from the chimney. So we know someone's in there, little tiny, worn down looking shanty. And we walked up to it, and as little kids are, it's like, you knock on the door, no, you knock, no, you. And we were all bickering over it. And then eventually someone shoved me to the front of the line. And as they shoved me to the front, the door flung open, and there was this creepy, wild haired looking woman with just insane looking eyes.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she just put her
Whoa.
hand on my forehead like this, and she muttered some, unintelligible, like mumbles some kind of, blessing or curse or whatever we want to call it, right? And she was like, now you have my curse. And I just remember, or no, that wasn't how she called it, my knowledge.
Yeah.
That's right. Sorry, I'm flashing
It's
back
not a
10 years
curse.
to my own past life regression. And she's like, now you see what I see. You have my knowledge. And I just remember, and then she slammed the door. And I just remember sitting there going, oh, right. And from there on, I had the gift of sight, and I was able to see and feel and have this connection. And so, supposedly, again, I can't prove or disprove this. I'm not a guru or anything,
Yeah.
but that was my experience. And so it felt right. It resonated with me. And so that must have been where it came from. I have no idea, but it was an interesting past life regression, and it was interesting to see that that was something that I've had and carried in all of my past lives since.
Really.
Hmm.
You had the gift in all the lives.
Hmm. And I feel that I used it in different ways in
Mhm.
different lives. And
Mhm.
so and then there was past lives where maybe I didn't use it as adequately as I could have. And so
Mhm.
I feel that out of all the past lives that I've had, this is the life that I'm using it with the most purpose.
Oh yes. Yeah, I could see that. Oh my gosh. I wonder what happened to the woman who gave you her knowledge.
I
I
have no
wonder.
idea. So
And did
probably
y'all
still
run
hanging
away?
out in the woods in some other past life or something somewhere. I have no idea. But yeah, it was wild to see it. So like I can still see it so vividly. It was just crazy. It was a
So
cool
those
experience though.
those kids that were with you, did you start telling them things that they that would show your knowledge?
So the thing is that a past life regression, because I only wanted to know where it originated from, the vision kind of
Oh.
stopped there.
Mhm.
And so I assumed that at that point in time, yes, I went out and kind of told people or shared experiences, but I didn't ask for any further information. I really just wanted to know
Yeah.
in that particular reading, where's this basis? Because I was
Mhm.
curious. So
That's pretty cool, Chelsea. It really is.
yeah, it was wild.
um, do you ever do group settings of past life regressions?
I have. I did one, it was several years ago at one of my psychic retreats that I host. And so I
Oh.
kind of sat everyone down and I said, we don't have time to give everyone an hour, but let's do something healing based. So let's kind of talk about like a fear that we have. And the fears don't have to be like, I'm scared of dogs or I'm scared of water. It can be, I'm fearful of rejection. I'm fearful
Mhm.
of, using my voice. So that's the thing is there's all sorts of fears that we can have. And so we identified everyone, I told folks, here's your homework this afternoon, this evening when we do our group circle. I want you to have like a fear or something that you want to heal. And then we just kind of went through each of the 10 people there. So it can absolutely be done in a group setting. And it was interesting too, because some people, especially in a group setting,
Mhm.
it offers the opportunity that maybe someone else in the group has a similar fear. Maybe they're afraid of using their voice and speaking their truth, right? And in this
Mm-hmm.
person in the group setting, they'd had a past life where they were abused by their father anytime that they spoke, because they were a
Yeah.
female from a past life where they were meant to be seen and not heard. And
Right.
so they had a hard time speaking their truth in this life. And so it was just kind of interesting to see other people in the group go, I feel the same way. And now I got inspired by her story. And so other people can kind of through, spiritual osmosis, do a little bit of healing through other people in the group. So it was a really impactful group reading for sure. So yeah, it can absolutely be done.
That's really cool. They all helped each other. That's really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, um, I can't remember if I asked this now or at the previous recording that we did. Um, People that don't believe in reincarnation, what do you do with those people?
So it's a great question. In Western society, we're one of the few cultures that actively do not believe in reincarnation. But if you look at native magic, if you look at a lot of European belief, Nordic beliefs, they all believe in reincarnation. And so for me, I think that if anyone wants to have a reading, no different than like a psychic reading, a mediumship, whatever type of session, I always tell folks like, look, as long as you come in open-minded, that's the best experience that I ever have when I do readings is, when you have no expectations and you're just
Mhm.
open-minded to the experience, sometimes that's where the most growth healing happens, is because not just you get that part of you healed, but it opens you up to a whole new world and realm of possibilities that you didn't know existed an hour earlier, and sometimes that can be jarring to some folks. But at the same time, if I can help further people down their path or
Yes.
do things that cause other, I feel I'm here to help guide and help people with their personal growth and
Mhm.
with healing and all of that. And so if I can help you on one of those paths and to show you the direction you need to go, then I've done my job. And I think the best way to achieve that is just through being open-minded to the experience. I will never say I'm the best medium or psychic for everybody. I know I'm a lot. I'm as they would say. So I realize that. But at the same time, if you do find your match, it's no different than finding a good doctor or a good therapist, right? To where you're just going to jive with certain people. And that's really where you're going to get the most benefit out of a session. And
Mhm.
so between that and being open minded and ready to receive
Mhm.
and have no expectations, those are the best sessions.
No expectations, huh?
Well, because
Okay.
so an example, and not just with a past life reading, this can go for anything. I've had clients where, in fact, I had a gentleman one time on my couch, and he was like, "I won't." This was for a mediumship session, and he said, "I won't believe this is real unless you can tell me my son's name." And
Oh
I was
my
like, "Well,"
gosh.
and that's what I mean by expectations. Is some people come
Okay.
in going, "Well, if they don't say the name, say this and say that, then this is a bunch of hooey." And I said, "Well," I said, "I'm not getting his name." And I go, but he keeps showing me a picture of a buck, and it's like in black and white. And I said, and it looks to me like a tattoo. And I go, but I don't understand it. And then he rolled up his sleeve and he had a tattoo of a buck with his son's name under it. Right. And I said, well, I didn't get his name. And I
But
said, he was like, there's no way you would have seen that. I had a long sleeve shirt on. And I'm like,
yeah.
well, again, so it's one of those things. If you come in with an expectation, spirit can't always provide that information,
Mhm.
right? It may be that they don't know how to communicate that information. They don't know how to show it to me. If my job was as easy as, I'm Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick Swayze standing right here, like the movie Ghost, just going, say this, and that. Oh my God, that'd make my life so much easier.
You just want him behind you,
Fair,
like
fair enough. Fair enough, right? But no, but that's the thing is that, when you come in with no expectations other than I would like guidance or healing or growth,
right.
that's it. That's the best way to go into any session.
Well, that's how I would come up with the past life because I don't. Well, I have a fear of heights, but isn't that just a common?
Look at it. Well,
Isn't that just
actually,
common?
I there are common ones. And the thing is sometimes, and I will say this, I have had this pop up in a session where someone's like, I'm afraid of this, and I'm like, it's not tied to a past life at all. It's literally just something from this life. So, and your spirit guides will tell me that. So it's not that I'm sitting here going, oh, every single thing you're scared of or every pattern. Because there are things that truly just originate in this life and you have the opportunity to heal it now or then in the next life. you're having to work through it again. So I
Mm,
definitely don't prescribe to everything in this life is tied to a past life. So
to a
I'm not
past life, yeah.
that fanatical about that idea. And I
Hmm.
will tell a client, nope, this particular thing your guides say it's tied to this life. And then we'll explore it a little bit and say, well,
Hmm.
what can we do to heal that? If it's, because you still need healing. So let's figure out how to do it.
I healed mine.
Look at
I,
you.
uh,
That
I,
doesn't surprise me at all.
yeah, I went up in a hot air balloon and I went up in a glider. And I
Oh, wow.
thought it was beautiful. I loved being up there in the sky. I wasn't
So
scared.
what a cool thought that you found beauty in your fear.
Oh, that's true.
Mic drop
True.
right there.
I mean, I didn't even want to come down from the glider. It was just so phenomenal.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that conquering our fears, finding that personal growth and those opportunities there's beauty comes of all things. It's one of my favorite
Mhm.
sayings. And whether it's a tragic
Mm.
experience or just an opportunity for growth. And so yeah, beauty came of your ability to conquer that fear.
Thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome. Anytime.
I really appreciate it. Is there anything that you want to delve into, or I only have one question left. So, what have you not discussed that you would like to discuss?
As far as past life readings go,
Well, because we're talking that's the topic, yeah. Or
I
do whatever you want.
I
Trust me,
no
you will
no
be led to say what you're supposed to say.
when it comes to past life readings, I always tell folks, look, worst case scenario, you find out that you don't have a ton of karmic debt and you don't have a ton of stuff and you can have a little bit more freedom in this life.
Mhm.
I think that past life readings can benefit folks from all sorts of different angles. Like I said, whether it's just, I tend to find they're the most enlightening. So sometimes
Mhm.
it's just having that understanding of that's why I'm the way I am. That's why I had to have that experience. And, it can just answer questions of, oh, I was meant to have this experience.
Mhm.
So I think that, kind of going back to that topic earlier about when we have these soul contracts,
Mhm.
being able to identify that only helps further your growth and your development in this life to help us to be able to ascend. So for me, I think that past life readings are fun. They're one of my, I mean, mediumship is always going to be my favorite. But past life is probably my second because every session I do, whether it's on the phone or whatever, you can hear the aha, you can hear the light bulb or see the light bulb going
Mhm.
off when people realize just how much our past connects to our future. Now, with that said, I
Mhm.
don't think we should always live in our past. Like there's a reason that our windshield is huge and that our rear view mirror is only this big, right? Is that we're meant
Great
to mostly
analogy.
look forward,
That's
right?
great.
So I think that a past life regression, it's not meant to encompass your whole life and overtake you, but it's just kind of that reminder to look back and go, okay, how can I use that past life lesson or experience and roll that forward into this life to be able to have that growth, healing, or knowledge?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing about something else.
Uh-oh.
It has to do with you. Some of the audience members, watch all these videos. And they go, Karen, I'm going to go broke with you.
Sorry, not sorry. No.
I like to be able to bring this to people.
Yeah.
I just do. Yeah.
Hey, and I love you for sending it. No, but truly, at the same time, no, but I mean this in a serious way. So
Because you're going to help them.
right. And the thing
Yeah.
is my purpose in this life is I'm not trying to be famous. I'm not trying to, be
Mhm.
nothing like that. For me, I know my purpose was to help guide, heal, and help others in this life. And
Mhm.
what that looks like for you is going to be different for me, from my
Right.
kids, from my neighbors. And so,
Mhm.
to me, it's not a one size fits all. It's an opportunity for you to figure out like, aha, or find out my purpose in this life or what have you. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, when it comes to past life readings, they're probably the most enlightening out of all the readings I do, next to numerology. But I'll save that because I know we're going to talk about
Yeah,
that
we're going to talk about that
other
too.
meeting.
Guys, she has a whole list that she could talk to us about. So I don't know. Maybe she'll be coming on. I don't know. Because every time you come on, I'm just fascinated. And then the next one's just as good. So,
I know I
um,
have a way of just taking over and yammering on, so you have to just stop me while I'm ahead. So
oh, I kind of like that though. I don't like question, answer, question. I don't. I like
yeah,
explanation and,
yeah,
to get that flavor. So
well,
I
true.
had a psychic reading with a very wonderful psychic. Is there anything else you want to say, or I got my last
No,
question? Okay.
No, for real. Share.
She told me to ask this question of all the people I interview.
Okay.
You know what's coming, don't you?
I think so.
What is it that you feel out of all your gifts do you think is the most important to you? How can you be of service for spirit and help for your client?
Oh, gosh. I think my most important gift, that's the question, is what do I think is the most important to me, or what is most important to my clients? Because that's subjective.
To your client.
To my client.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, here's the thing. I
Oh
think,
no, it says most important to you.
okay, that's what I thought. So that's why I was
Mm-hmm.
like, ooh, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I, here's the thing. At the end of the day, my strongest gift, my favorite thing that I do is mediumship. I believe that I am meant to be a bridge between the living and the dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the most personally and emotionally fulfilling for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to say that some people need deep, intense healing, like I'm in a really good place with my dad's passing, and I've had a few friends that have passed, and I'm in good places with all of them. Do I think I need to run out and have a mediumship reading? No, not necessarily. But it's not to say I won't
Mm-hmm.
have one in the future to where my dad will come back through again and I'll learn some more stuff or hear some more things.
Yeah.
But what I find when it comes to the people that I believe I'm here to bridge that gap. And so at the end of the day, that's the most meaningful thing for me, is not just to bring validation that there is life after life, but then
Yes.
I also at the end of every session teach people how to ask for signs and symbols and how to be able to also bridge the gap that they have with their loved ones, because I don't feel anyone should be held hostage by a medium. We can all communicate with our loved ones. It's just a little bit different than how a medium does it, but we can ask for signs and symbols. We can ask those yes or no questions. We can ask our loved ones and spirit guides for guidance. And so I feel that it's my responsibility as a medium not to just help you with your growth and your healing, but to also help empower you so that you have the ability to connect with your loved ones as well. So that's the most important to me personally.
Okay. I want to share something with the audience. Well, first of all, I like how you said life after life
Hmm.
instead of life after death.
Hmm.
Life after life. I wrote that down. That's pretty cool.
Hmm.
So I had a reading. Well, it was a psychic mediumship reading with Chelsea, and the question that I just asked her was her question. She goes, "Ask this of all the people you sit down." So she got her question back to her.
Yes, I did. And I knew you were going to do that. I should have been prepared for it.
Hey, I'm coachable. I'm
Hey,
coachable.
that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I'm going to just go out on a limb here. Tell us. So we're going to do numerology,
Mhm.
but people might look at this and want to know some other things. So, what are the other specialties that you do?
So, I psychic and mediumship are the most common things I meet with folks for, and then I would say it's probably a close tie for third between numerology and past life regressions.
Hmm.
So we talked a lot about past life regressions today. Numerology, I actually am getting ready to kind of shift what I call them, because truly numerology can be done online. You can look up your name and your
Yeah.
birthday, and you can pull up all your information. What I do that I call my secret sauce to a numerology reading is, while I'm building your chart, I channel your spirit guides and say, what do they need to know? Because there might be certain things, like if you have the number 5 in your life path, let's say, okay?
Hmm.
So your life path is the theme of your life, kind of like a soundtrack. And if you have a 5, that can mean traveling, independence. It can also mean that you're going to have a lot of chaos in your life. And so you'll be someone who's really good at dealing with stress, being able to hop around situations. Now, with that said, if I meet with someone who maybe they haven't traveled a lot, then I can say, look, then you're going to be traveling a lot later in life, or you need to be prepared where, maybe you end up having to relocate for a job and you weren't expecting to travel at all, but that is a type of move.
Part.
So
Hmm.
being able to identify your soul purpose. But I find that when I do these types of readings, so I'll give an example of a numerology one that I did. This woman had had the number 6 in her karmic debt number. 6 is the number of compassionate caregiving and taking care of others, and also learning how to take care of themselves. She had went through multiple losses, like multiple
Oh,
miscarriages of children, and she wanted children more than anything. And we're talking like almost double digits worth of miscarriages. Like they struggled for
Oh my
years.
gosh.
And the thing is that she needed to be able to learn to love others. And so she ended up having to adopt her children. And so it
Oh,
was finding a
wow.
different form of compassion for
Mm-hmm.
others. And so that's really where that came from. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, when I do numerology session, I ask your guides, well, have they already learned this lesson? Because then I'm just going to kind of gloss over it.
Mm-hmm.
But every one I've done for folks, it's fun. When I do a numerology reading, I'll have two different outcomes. If I know the person already, like if I've already spoken with you, let's say, I'll do your chart and I'll go, that's why this happened, or that's why she had that experience. So it'll answer some questions ahead of time. However, if I've never met the person and I don't know anything, I can go, oh, this person will be extroverted. This person will have a tough exterior, but they're really a softie. Like I can tell a ton about the person without ever even talking to them. So it's kind of fun either way, whether it's with someone I've met or not met.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I do that. I obviously do card readings, but card readings for me, when I do like oracle based, are more for like throwing at the end of the session, something for fun.
Yeah.
Um, Lenormand readings, I'm one of the few people that do those here locally. I know there's other readers, but at least in the
Mm-hmm.
Salem area. And those I do like the whole, it's called a grand tableau, and it's where I read all 36 cards in the
Okay.
deck. And it's kind of meant to be like a year forecast.
Okay.
Um, let's see here. God, there's so many things
I
that I
have your list, but not in front of me.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I'd have to pull it up too, but no, my other thing that I do too is like with the soul contract readings, I do life coaching as well. Psychic development is also I typically have like I think right now I've got I've got four people I'm currently working with that are developing their own gifts. I've got a friend up in the Seattle area who's an amazing medium, and she went from a client of mine that was like, I think I have something, and I was like, well, let's see what's going on there. And she's an amazing medium now and has her own business. And,
Great.
so I help with psychic development as well. And then the other thing is less about like personal things, but like the psychic retreats. And so those are more where folks have the opportunity where it's a group of like-minded people,
Yes.
they're women's only retreats where, we come and we have fun and we do activities and arts and crafts. But we also work on developing our own gifts, right? Because
Great.
everyone has their own form of magic
Mm-hmm.
and it's just about working your own. And so
I
like
write
for
that
me,
one down too.
so it's funny,
Right.
whenever kind of my catchphrase around the house is whenever I have a client, I always tell folks, okay, well, I'm going to be busy. I have to go work my magic. And the thing is that everyone's magic is different. A doctor has magic. A
Mm-hmm.
carpenter has magic, right? Everyone has it. It's just a matter of how you choose to use it.
That's very cool. I
Mhm.
like that. Very cool.
Yep.
I want to circle back to numerology just real quick
Yeah.
because what you do that makes you stand out is you channel the guides.
Mhm.
That's huge. That's
Yep.
huge.
Yeah, because truly, I'll tell people like you can Google yourself and find
Yeah.
your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the difficult part because it takes me about an hour to build someone's chart, and I go over 7 numbers. So you get your life path, your destiny, which those are different. They sound similar, very different things. Um, your soul number, your personality number, your birthday, your maturity number, and then your karmic debt. If you have a
Maturity.
karmic number.
What do you mean maturity?
So your maturity number is the combination of your life path and your destiny number. And that is typically what your life is going to wrap up looking like. So your maturity number, now granted, I don't get into all the pinnacles of numerology because kind of like with this, I do astrology readings too. I'm like, God, how did I forget that? I've been doing those the longest. But a Jill of all trades, like I said, I forget.
Mhm.
But when it comes to the like a numerology session, when it comes to the maturity, typically it's the last third of your life. And so let's say someone gets a 6 in their placement for their maturity number. It means the last third of your life, you're going to be caretaking for a lot of people. So you might have a lot of sick relatives. You might have a kid with like a, long-term illness or
Mhm.
something like that to where, you're going to be doing a lot of things of that nature. And so that's what your maturity number is. Now, if you see like let's say a 2 in your maturity number, it means that you're going to have a life where maybe people around you will be chaotic or fight a lot, and you're going to be a peacemaker a lot. You're going to
Oh,
create harmony in your environment. So that's what your maturity number is it's more or less what's going to happen the last third of your life.
okay. Very cool.
Mhm.
Chelsea, I always enjoy you. I
I know,
seriously
I
do.
enjoy you
Yeah.
too.
Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. I look forward to seeing
Okay,
you again, hun.
you will. Okay.